Portfolio time. Where's the button? There we go. Wow, started a timer for the stream, started the timer for the portfolio review, and then sent a tweet out with one button. This is amazing. Okay. Boop. Button pressing too. Oh my god, this is so awesome. I'm getting all the stuff set up. Kanu, you're in the portfolio today as well. Oh yeah, no, you are Kanu. What? What am I doing? What am I doing? Anyways, how's it going? Camera's working. I'm ultra blue for some reason. I don't know. You see all my little tests for the follow here? So funny. Someone fix that. Quick follow. Do something. All right. So let's start at the beginning here. We've got Sea Battle. Dude, I remember this type of game. These were jarring but cool at the same time. So this one's from a year ago. So we won't spend too much time on it, but I do want to say that like the little bits of paint damage and like how it's been broken up, minus the manual, this stuff on the side here looks manually done. Let's there we go. So you can just see more. Minus the manual scratching on the sides, I think the rest looks pretty cool. Like this actually looks like it's scratched in. That's cool. The art on it is pretty spot on for kind of like the weird. It's weird. Like, are these like little portholes that friends can watch? I can't even remember. Yeah, the paint looks dope though. This is awesome. For being a year old, this is pretty awesome. I just realized I don't have this thing on. Hang on. Moderator chat. Gotta get that going. All right, cool. Let's hide that too. Okay. Next to Rooney. So this one's pretty interesting. The weld stuff here looks really cool. This area right here looks a little odd. I think it's just like maybe the normal is inverted or... Blizz! What's going on, man? How you doing? Yeah, Neil, I was just talking about that. It's a little... Yeah, it's a little blue on the webcam. So in general, I would say this one's probably just a little on the noisy side. And I think a lot of it has to do with, like, it looks like you have a lot of normal information baked into the normal map itself. Yeah, and this stuff looks flipped. At least it feels like it to me. I don't know. And a little strong. Like, it's more like tinfoily. This is cool. This attention to detail in here is kind of crazy. I like it. Nice. So this was a year ago as well. Nesta Rooney. Yes. So this one's a pretty consistent pass on like the way the albedo looks and the kind of damage and stuff is pretty cool. It's interesting that the lines on the bars are wider than in the background. Gotta move soon. Crazy. Are you hearing stuff? Are you hearing notifications? Oh, are you seeing them up here? I'm sorry. I was like, you shouldn't be able to hear anything. You're talking about this. Yeah, there you go. Fixed. Anyways, the detail down here is actually probably the most fascinating to me. I like that area. Dude, this is a year ago as well. Man, you've been kicking the butts for a while, actually. So the thing I think I would say with this piece is actually that the roughness ranges are kind of minimal. Like this area here is this area and some of this area here are the most interesting to me, and I think it's just because the variety of shapes and material. So you're getting like really good variation in your roughness. Like you've got metals, you've got paints, rust. It's and then a nice breakup of shapes and details. So maybe like if the paint up here was, I know it's kind of weird just because of how aged it is, but if the roughness of the paint was a little more reflective or less rough than the metal, the exposed metal and rust, that would help a lot. And maybe it is, and it's just the lighting that, yeah, see, like right here? Oh, that's nice. And the way you have this displayed is really cool. I like the little ground area here. Some dent impacts from the pebbles, like kicking up. Ah, that'd be great. You could probably make a substance painter brush that just randomizes and rotates and scales and just dents the normals, and you can just like paint around the bottom here. You probably only need, I don't know, for the majority of like the bottom area, maybe like 10, 15 dents that are pretty small. That's a good idea though. And then like with the amount of geometry that you're putting in here, these like little bolts on the side, you could totally model those. Like just have those lifted out. I don't know. You could have like I don't know, 6 sides. Because like the shadows you'd get from that would be so interesting, coming down like because the light's so above here. So the shadows would be on this bottom edge here. The nice thing is in games you could model those out. In real-time games today you could model those out. And the reason I say that is because you can set up your LODs or your level of detail meshes. So like as you get further away, like say you're like 5-10 meters away, those could pop out pretty quickly. And as long as like, see you have this information baked here, when they pop out, that will help sell it from that distance, right? And then as you get further and further away, like you just have more and more of the details kind of get removed. But it'll hold up pretty well. And a lot of engines today do really good, I forget what they call them, but really good like faked versions of them automatically for you, where they'll bake it all out for you and try and optimize the mesh automatically. So you can really get away with some details these days. So next up is this sword, and this sword is actually, while the details are really strong, I think where it's suffering is in its material. Or maybe it's the way that the lighting is positioned, but like the definition between what material is what is kind of getting lost. Like I think you're missing maybe metalness in here because like the highlight or like the blowout of the highlight is so broad. That like you need the metalness in order to help like push it down. Yeah, see, it doesn't feel like it's got metalness in it or something. Hey, thanks for the follow, Spikes. Is it Spikes? Spike Spiegel? Thanks, man. This is awesome, though. I don't know if you're like, it looks like maybe some alphas and a little bit of sculpting. So when it comes to these types of shapes, like this outside area, it looks like it's modeled, and then the rest is like you've got some sculpts and some other shapes in there. Totally okay for separate pieces. Like nothing actually has to be welded together. And if it does, to make it look like it's one metal piece, you can do that with the Dynamesh later, right? It's always going to be much easier for you to be able to work with it when it's all like separate pieces. But yeah, it's all sculpted in from what it looks like. This looks like it's floating, the whole piece, and then all of that's sculpted inside of it. But yeah, that's cool. I know that a lot of professionals would like mask out this area and then extrude, separate it as its own mesh, and then work on it from there. That way they can isolate it and focus on it, and then later on they can, they can merge it back in. Because like the edge here versus the edge of this being a separate mesh from this is really no different when you end up looking at it from pretty far away. So there's no need for pain and suffering. This area here actually feels like you never ended up touching it. And it shows here as well. Man, there's some serious detail work going on in this. Let me see what the highlight does in this. We got 4.5 minutes left on this reveal. Hey, thanks for the compliment, Spike. Maybe you do have metalness. It might be the environment. It's a little like, when you look at it from top down like this, it's pretty bright. Like, one thing you could do is actually, because like your environment, if you want to be looking at your model from above like this, you have to remember that your environment, when you look up, is a bright sky usually, right? If it's outdoors. So you could tilt this like this way in the view. I don't know how else to like, so say I'm like, how do I portray this? Like if you did this in the model and the sky is still up here, you're probably going to get a better visual. Like you'll be able to see the information better. Abel, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, that's cool. It's like, I need to see where that's at now. Oh, let's turn that back on. So blue. So blue. Next portfolio, I will fix that. Nice. Yeah, it's interesting you separated these, but I think that's fine. This guy was pretty cool. I feel like the lighting is a bit flat in this view. Like it's missing like those brights. Like if I take this one and we just make a new. Let's kill that and kill this. Yeah. So if you like look at this in the histogram, you see all that information you're missing. Bringing that in. Like you probably have to lower the saturation a bit because of like that boost, but you can see how much more range there is. Because you want to be able to use like in your histogram, you want to be able to use as much of this range as possible. Graffiti, what's up, man? Yeah, you're streaming like soon, right? In like 15 minutes or something like that. 10 minutes, all right. Yeah, and see when you get bright like this as well, that allows you to do your bloom action if you want. For anyone who's curious, a really quick tip here for post bloom, which is totally okay as long as you're honest about it. You can just do like a blur like this, screen dodge it, or screen in its filter or in its blend mode, and then put a mask on top of it, invert the mask. Whoa. Not the image, the mask. And then you can go in and do like soft paints where you need it, where you want the bloom. And it'll come off kind of strong at first. You can lower the opacity here, but we'll just leave it. Put them where you want. And then you just take this whole layer and just lower it, and then just turn it up just enough to get those highlights where you want them. All right, back to this guy. In general, though, this is pretty well made. Let me, sorry, mouse is like that scroll wheel though, right? Jam79 with the lurk. What's up, dude? I think my favorite part of this asset is actually this area here. There's just so much stuff going on in there, and I appreciate that there's information in here. I don't know if it's just the dupe of the other side. It is, but that's it's better than nothing in there. But yeah, this is cool. Look at that, some information in there. This text feels like it might be a little stretched. Just FYI. I remember us looking at this before. This is really nice, man. It's, it is time. Oh my god. Anyways, your portfolio is pretty solid. This scene's great too, man. Storytelling is definitely you're getting that storytelling down. Like propping, logical propping is always kind of difficult for people early on. It's like figuring out where things need to go and all that stuff. Dude, look at the camera there. It's so small. It's just this little box. That show's strangely addicting, Jam. This is nice. The subtle noise, too. This looks really good. The really interesting part, too, is the balance of the lighting. Like the dark areas that are quite dark make sense. And overall, the scene is pretty balanced value-wise. Oh yes, I remember the scene. So now, upon looking at your other stuff, I actually feel like this might be too saturated. So you remember as neon lights get really bright, they become more white. Just because it's light, right? So as they become more bright, the color starts to go away. You can see it here. You're getting it. Let me see what happens if we tone that down and then I feel like it's almost too bright. Then again, you know, there's a bunch of LEDs and neons everywhere. This scene turned out pretty cool though, and I like the attention to detail. I think my favorite shot, where is it at here? My favorite shot, I think, is, let me just scroll through these to make sure I remember this correctly. Dude, look at that. Look at all that stuff. Dang, son. I think it's this one, and the reason I like this one is there's a lot of storytelling going on with the way it's propped. It implies a lot of information. There's a nice representation of like particles and dust in the air, or smog. Really good separation of pieces, like as it goes back in space. It's cool. It makes you want to go forward so that you can see what's right. That's why I like this shot the most, I think. It's a little crazy up here, but I mean, I guess that's what happens when you put a ton of neon lights up there, right? That would happen in real life too. But yeah, I mean, looking at your portfolio, I think that you should not have a problem getting a junior position. Like that would be weird to me, especially when you look at this one. And even like that was 8 months ago. This is really solid, and this looks really good as well. Yeah, stuff's good. Ivy knows. Edge series. Anyways, let's get on to the next portfolio, huh?